Head north. Turn left toward North Parkside Drive. Then immediately turn left onto North Parkside Drive. Turn left onto North Parkside Drive. Then at the next light, you'll turn right. At the light, turn right onto West Washington Street. Then at the next light, you'll turn right. At the light, turn right onto North Center Parkway. Then you'll use any lane to turn left onto the Arizona 202 Loop East ramp.
Held down after all, and then came to a sudden halt. His feet had carried him past the new store, and he had to go back. There was a single light on above the window display, casting its
At the stop sign, use any lane to turn left onto the Arizona 202 Loop East ramp.
its soft glow down over the 3 items arranged there. The light also spilled out onto his face, and it worked a wondrous transformation. Suddenly, Hugh looked like a tired little boy.
Continue on Arizona 202 for 3 miles.
It's bedtime. A little boy who has just seen what he wants for Christmas, what he must have for Christmas, because all at once nothing else on God's green earth would do. The central object in the window was flanked by 2 fluted vases, Nettie Cobb's beloved carnival glass.
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 9 for Arizona 101 Loop South.
Though Hugh didn't know this and would not have cared if he did. It was a foxtail. Suddenly it was 1955 again. He had just gotten his license and he was driving to the Western Maine Schoolboy Championship game, Castle Rock versus Oxford Hills, in his dad's '53 Ford convertible. It was an unseasonably warm November day, warm enough to pull that old rag top down and tack the tarp over it if you were a bunch of hot-blooded kids ready, willing, and able to raise some hell, that was. And there were 6 of them in the car. Peter Doyon had brought a flask of log cabin whiskey. Perry Como was on the radio. Hugh Priest was sitting behind the white wheel, and fluttering from the radio antenna had been a long...
In half a mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 9 for Arizona 101 Loop South.
Luxuriant foxtail, just like the one he was now looking at in the window of this store. He remembered...
Use the right 2 lanes to take exit 9. Then you'll use the right 2 lanes to take the Arizona 101 loop south ramp.
Remembered looking up.
Use the right 2 lanes to take the Arizona 101 loop south ramp. Continue on Arizona 101 loop south for 3 miles.
Looking up at that fluttering foxtail and thinking that when he owned a convertible of his own, he was going to have one just like that. He remembered refusing the flask when it came around to him. He was driving, and you didn't drink while you were driving because you were responsible for the lives of others. And he remembered one other thing as well, the certainty that he was living the best hour of the best day of his life. The memory surprised and hurt him in its clarity and total sensory recall. Smoky aroma of burning leaves, November sun twinkling on guardrail reflectors.
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 55AB for US 60 East toward Globe.
And now, looking at the foxtail in the display window of Needful Things, it struck him that it had been the best day of his life. One of the last days before the booze had caught him firmly in its rubbery, pliant grip, turning him into a weird variation of King Midas. Everything he had touched since then, it seemed, had turned to shit. He suddenly thought, I could change. This idea had its own arresting clarity. I could start over. Were such things possible? Yes, I think sometimes they are. I could buy that foxtail and tie it on the antenna of my Buick. They'd laugh, though. The guys would laugh. What guys? Henry Bull.
In half a mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 55AB for US 60 East toward Globe.
Henry Beaufort, that little pissant Bobby Dugas. So what? Fuck him. Buy that foxtail, tie it to the antenna.
Use the right 2 lanes to take exit 55AB. Then you'll use any lane to take the US 60 East ramp to Globe.
And drive.
Use any lane to take the US 60 East ramp. Continue on US 60 East for 13 miles.
Well, how about that Thursday night AA meeting over in South Paris for a start? For a moment, the possibility stunned and excited him. The way a long-term prisoner might be stunned and excited by the sight of the key left in the lock of his jail cell by a careless warder. For a moment he could actually see himself doing it, picking up a white chip, then a red chip, then a blue chip, getting sober day by day and month by month. No more mellow tiger, too bad. But also no more paydays spent in terror that he would find a pink slip in his envelope along with his check, and that was not so too bad. In that moment, as he stood looking at the foxtail in the display window of Needful Things, Hugh could see a future. For the first time in years, he could see a future. And that beautiful orange fox brush with its white tip floated through it like a battle flag. Then reality crashed back in, and reality smelled like rain and damp, dirty clothes. There would be no foxtail for him, no AA meetings, no chips, no future. He was 51 fucking years old. 51 was too old for dreams of the future. At 51, you had to keep running just to escape the avalanche of your own past. If it had been business hours, though, he would have taken a shot at it anyway. Damned if he wouldn't. He'd walk in there, just as big as Billy be damned, and ask how much was that foxtail in the window. But it was 10 o'clock. Main Street was locked up as tight as an ice queen's chastity belt. And when he woke up tomorrow morning, feeling as if someone had placed an ice pick between his eyes, he would have forgotten all about that lovely foxtail with its vibrant russet color. Still, he lingered a moment longer, trailing dirty, calloused fingers over the glass like a kid looking into a toy shop window. A little smile had touched the corners of his mouth. It was a gentle smile, and it looked out of place on Hugh Priest's face. Then, somewhere up on Castle View, a car backed off several times, sounds as sharp as shotgun blasts on the rainy air, and Hugh was startled back to himself. Fuck it, what the hell are you thinking of? He turned away from the window and pointed his face toward home again, if you wanted to call the two-room shack with the tacked-on woodshed where he lived home. As he passed under the canopy, he looked at the door and stopped again. The sign there, of course, read, "Open." Like a man in a dream, Hugh put his hand out and tried the knob. It turned freely under his hand. Overhead, a small silver bell tinkled. The sound seemed to come from an impossible distance away. A man was standing in the middle of the shop. He was running a feather duster over the top of a display case and humming. He turned toward Hugh when the bell rang. He didn't seem a bit surprised to see someone standing in his doorway at 10 minutes past 10 on a Wednesday night. The only thing that struck Hugh about the man in that confused moment was his eyes. They were as black as an Indian's. "You forgot to turn your sign over, buddy," Hugh heard himself say. "No, indeed," the man replied politely. "I don't sleep well, I'm afraid, and some nights I take a fancy to open late. One never knows when a fellow such as yourself may stop by and take a fancy to something. Would you like to come in and look around?" Hugh Priest came in and closed the door behind him. "It's a foxtail," Hugh began, and then had to stop, clear his throat, and start again. The words had come out in a husky, unintelligible mutter. "There's a foxtail in the window." "Yes," the proprietor said. "Beauty, isn't it?" He held the duster in front of him now, and his Indian black eyes looked at Hugh with interest from above the bouquet of feathers which hid his lower face. Hugh couldn't see the guy's mouth, but he had an idea he was smiling. It usually made him uneasy when people, especially people he didn't know, smiled at him. It made him feel like he wanted to fight. Tonight, however, it didn't seem to bother him at all, maybe because he was still half shot. "It is," Hugh agreed. "It is a beauty. My dad had a convertible with a foxtail just like that, tied to the antenna back when I was a kid. There's a lot of people in this crummy little burg wouldn't believe I ever was a kid, but I was. Same as everyone else. Of course." The man's eyes remained fixed on Hugh's, and the strangest thing was happening. They seemed to be growing. Hugh couldn't seem to pull his own eyes away from them. Too much direct eye contact was another thing which usually made him feel like he wanted to fight. But this also seemed perfectly okay tonight. I used to think that foxtail was just about the coolest thing in the world. Of course, cool. That was the word we used back then. None of this rad shit. And gnarly. I don't have the slightest fucking idea what that means. Do you? But the proprietor of Needful Things was silent, simply standing there, watching Hugh Priest with his black Indian eyes over the foliage of his feather duster. Anyway, I want to buy it. Will you sell it to me? Of course, Leland God said for the third time. Hugh felt relief and a sudden, sprawling happiness. He was suddenly sure that everything was going to be all right. Everything. This was utterly crazy. He owed money to just about everyone in Castle Rock and the surrounding 3 towns. He had been on the ragged edge of losing his job for the last 6 months. His Buick was running on a wing and a prayer. But it was also undeniable. How much? He asked. He suddenly wondered if he would be able to afford such a fine brush and felt a touch of panic. What if it was out of his reach? Worse, what if he scrounged up the money somehow tomorrow or the day
In 2 miles, use the second from the right lane to take exit 189 for Sossaman Road.
The day after that, only to find that the guy had sold it. Well, that depends. Depends on what? On how much you're willing to pay. Like a man in a dream, Hugh pulled his battered Lord Buxton out of his back pocket. Put that away, Hugh. Did I tell him my name? Did I? Hugh couldn't remember, but he put his wallet away. Turn out your pockets, right here on top of this case. Hugh turned out his pockets. He put his pocket knife, a roll of certs, his Zippo lighter, and about $1.50 in tobacco-sprinkled change.
In half a mile, use the second from the right lane to take exit 189 for Sossaman Road.
On top of the case, the coins clicked on the glass. The man bent forward and looked at the pile.
Use the second from the right lane to take exit 189.
Right, he remarked, and brushed the feather dust.
At the next light, use the left lane to turn left.
Eager pile. When he removed it again, the knife, the lighter, and the certs were still there.
At the light, turn left onto South Sossaman Road.
Were gone. Hugh observed this with no surprise at all. He stood as silently as a toy with dead batteries while the tall man
In 1,000 feet, turn left into the parking lot.
the window and came back with the fox brush. He laid it on top of the cabinet beside Hugh's
At the light,
shoulder.
turn left into the parking lot.
Pile of pocket paraphernalia. Slowly, Hugh stretched out one hand and stroked the fur. It felt cold and rich. It crackled with silky static electricity. Stroking it was like stroking a clear autumn night. Nice? The tall man asked. Nice, Hugh agreed distantly and made to pick up the foxtail. Don't do that.
Head northwest.
And said sharply, and Hugh's hand fell away at once. He looked at
Head
Gaunt.
southeast. Head
Hurt
northwest.
so deep it was grief.
Head
We're
north.
not done dickering yet. No, Hugh agreed. I'm hypnotized, he thought. Damned if the guy hasn't hypnotized me. But it didn't matter. It was, in fact, sort of nice. He reached for his wallet again, moving as slowly as a man underwater. Leave that alone, you ass, Mr. Gaunt said impatiently, and laid his feather duster aside. Hugh's hand dropped to his side again. Why is it that so many people think all the answers are in their wallets? The man asked querulously. I don't know, Hugh said. He had never considered the idea before. It does seem a little silly. Worse, Gaunt snapped. His voice had taken on the nagging, slightly uneven cadences of a man who is either very tired or very angry. He was tired. It had been a long, demanding day. Much had been accomplished, but the work was still just barely begun. It's much worse. It's criminally stupid. Do you know something, Hugh? The world is full of needy people who don't understand that everything is for sale if you're willing to pay the price. They give lip service to the concept, that's all, and pride themselves on their healthy cynicism. Well, lip service is bourgeois, absolute bourgeois. Bourgeois, Hugh agreed mechanically. For the things people really need, Hugh, the wallet is no answer. The fattest wallet in this town isn't worth the sweat from a working man's armpit. Absolute bourgeois. And souls. If I had a nickel, Hugh, for every time I ever heard someone say, I'd sell my soul for thus and such, I could buy the empire, state, building. He leaned closer, and now his lips stretched back from his uneven teeth in a huge, unhealthy grin. Tell me this, Hugh, What in the name of all the beasts crawling under the earth would I want with your soul? Probably nothing. His voice seemed far away. His voice seemed to be coming from the bottom of a deep, dark cave. I don't think it's in very good shape these days. Mr. Gaunt suddenly relaxed and straightened up. Enough of these lies and half-truths. Hugh, do you know a woman named Nettie Cobb? Crazy Nettie? Everyone in town knows Crazy Nettie. She killed her husband. I know. Now listen to me, Hugh. Listen carefully. Then you can take your foxtail and go home. You priest, listen carefully.
Hey Siri, do you have any new text messages?
Outside, it was raining.
You have new messages from Laura, Chase Bank, and maybe a reminder from Alexa. First, Laura said, "Hey, do you have a clay thrower?